Joining us is Hawaii's Governor-elect Josh Green. Josh, this is the first time in nearly 40 years that volcano has erupted, the largest active volcano in the world. So just talk to us about how big of a risk this is posing to residents in the area right now.
Thank you for having me. It's always a large risk, although because it went down the northeast rift zone, which is towards Hilo, it's less of a risk. It's a flatter landscape. It slows down more quickly. The lava is quite viscous, and that is good news. So it's following the path that it followed in 1935 when we had an eruption then, and it didn't threaten any of our population. We're not worried right now about threats to people, although it could very well damage a road, one of our main roads on the Big Island. And then, of course, the threat in general to our air quality and our people with lung disease is significant. I'm an emergency room physician when I'm not doing this job, and I see that a lot. We know that people have twice the risk of exacerbations of their lung disease when the volcano erupts. Keep in mind also, Kilauea erupted 4 years ago, and that was a lot of volcanic activity, a lot of sulfur dioxide in the air, and a lot of heartache. So these are things we're used to, but this particular eruption does not look to threaten people just yet.
Okay, well, that's the good news. Well, what safety protocol are in place right now?
Lots of monitoring. We're doing a lot of air quality monitoring right now. We're monitoring the sulfur dioxide levels. It's right now at 0.002 parts per million, which is good. That's 50 times less than what we worry about as healthcare providers. But when you have this kind of sulfur dioxide in the air, it can burn the nasal passages, the mucous membranes in the lungs. It can cause a lot of asthma exacerbations. And then when there is ash and what we call Pele's hair, up into the atmosphere. Pele is the goddess of the volcano, but the volcanic activity creates what's basically glass in the air when you get the eruption and it gets up into the atmosphere. We're not seeing a lot of that right now, but we're mindful. So we tell people if they're worried or if the air quality worsens to wear the N95 masks like we've been doing with COVID. You can't really sift out the sulfur dioxide with regular masks, but you can keep the particulate matter away from people's lungs. And that's something we're focused on.
So then as a doctor, Josh, let me ask you, what are you saying to people that do have extreme respiratory issues? Are you giving any sort of different advice?
Not yet. Right now, we're monitoring the quality of the air in real time, constantly. I just talked to the director of health, and we're going to get 2 additional monitoring stations over to the Big Island. We're pretty well situated with Hawaii's emergency management operations there right now. So we do constant monitoring. It's in real time on our websites with the Department of Health. We're telling people they're safe right now, but if they do have chronic lung disease, then we ask them to wear masks. And if the air quality worsens in any way, we'll immediately put out emergency declarations to tell people that they have to wear masks. We haven't had to evacuate any significant areas yet because we're seeing the lava go to, like we talked earlier, to basically an unpopulated region. But we take every precaution, and these things, like you heard from some of the earlier speakers, they can change quickly. So if the lava shifts, we alert people. If it ends up going, instead of this northeast rift zone, to the south for some reason, which we don't expect, it can go downhill quite quickly, and that's towards Kona, where I came to be a physician on the Big Island. So we really monitor and communicate a lot. Right now, we're feeling pretty good about people's health. We still welcome visitors. We're not afraid to have people come, but we're cautious, and we'll give you as many updates as you need so you know what's safe.
So we're talking 40 years here. So how do you prepare for something like this when you don't know what could happen, like you said, and that things could change, right, within a moment's notice? It's been 4 decades. So how have you been training to respond, evacuations, saving homes? Kind of give us an idea about the emergency response that you're ready for.
We always have evacuation plans in place. They're very solid. We also set up a lot of places for people to go. We do usually get some fair warning because we see a lot of volcanic activity in the form of earthquakes, and we had a lot of small earthquakes over the past several months. So to be frank, we knew it was coming. We also knew where the most risky areas were, and we prepare people, especially in the areas where it can go downhill very quickly, to know that they have to have an evacuation plan. There are lots of other considerations, which thank goodness we haven't had to deal with. For instance, when the lava really changes the landscape and the shelf changes, which is the landmass on the ocean, we worry that that could break off at some point, and that could cause large waves or tsunamis. So I know a lot of this is somewhat foreign to guys on the mainland. I came from the mainland decades ago. We never talked about volcanic eruptions or tsunamis, but here in Hawaii, we do. So we prepare people. We're very kind of in touch with everyone. We call this it's called the coconut wireless, actually, where we speak to each other and communicate within basically 5 minutes in one kind of step removed from each other's families. So everyone knows everything in Hawaii really quickly. But we also encourage people to go to the Department of Health and look at our emergency management websites, because we can tell everybody how safe or unsafe things are fast.
Wow, it's really amazing just to talk to you about this and how much you know and just the background of all of this. You know, so many of us that have gone there and visited, and yeah, this volcano's a part of our culture too, and those that really appreciate the beauty and the history of Hawaii. I mean, this, in a way, I guess, is probably pretty fascinating for scientists as well. I mean, I'm guessing that you're sampling and you're studying, right? And kind of looking into just kind of the environmental impact here of all of this.
We are. You know, Hawaii is unique in that we have a very science-based approach to all of these things. I know that you and all of us were very obsessed with COVID over the last several years. We use science to our advantage, and we tracked the spread of COVID with extreme detail, with numbers, and that's why Hawaii ended up having the lowest rates of COVID spread and lowest fatality rates in the country. We do exactly the same thing with our geology. We follow the tremors in seismic activity. We follow volcanic activity. We have a lot of scientists on this so that when it comes time to make decisions, we do it analytically. We don't involve politics. We don't involve hearsay. We really try to be analytical here in Hawaii because we can't afford not to. We're a small, isolated community of 1.4 million people, and also everyone else seems to love coming here. And please come here. We welcome you, but know that we want to protect you when you're here, and we want you to be safe. So just because we have the occasional volcanic eruption, pandemic, tsunami, we also incorporate that into our culture, and our values are to take care of everyone.
Josh Green, Governor-elect of Hawaii, thank you so much. And by the way, very nice shirt.
Thank you.
We'll stay in touch.
Take care. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.